Hi everyone, my name is Nolan, and this is going to be my experience with the Zen Cleanz 1. And Zen Cleanz main product is these line of enzymes, which are made from 3-year fermented combinations of plants. You got fruits, vegetables, and mushrooms. All these different mixtures that are based on traditional Chinese medicine, holistic approaches, more ancient practices of using plants as medicine. I discovered them last year when I was following an sort of online health influencer that was talking about how healing really comes when you set the conditions right. It's not necessarily about adding something, but more like removing the unnecessary things. And it's one of the challenges that I find of just the modern food environment of there's no shortage of easy calories, but they are marketed and targeted to us in a way that make them really palatable and really filling, but not necessarily in a way that make me feel the best in my body. So I've been in a journey of figuring out, how do I want to move in this life with my body and in my relationship to it, and just rethinking things. And at the beginning of the last 3 years, I started with a 3-day water fast. And that's been a really helpful way to sort of like reset, restart each year. And because I had some experience with water fasting and I knew that it worked, and I had talked to other people that had really worked for them, when I heard about Zen Cleanz and I started listening to some interviews with the founder, Daniel, who's this guy from Canada who had his own healing journey, found traditional Chinese medicine, and it ended up taking along on this path where he ended up moving to China. And he opened up a detox and cleansing wellness center where he would take people through different healing modalities, detoxes, and water fasting. So it really connected with me and where I was at the time. Now it's the beginning of the year, so there's no shortage of commitments, resolutions, decisions to join a gym, to eat healthier, to do all the things that we do at the beginning of the year. But it's really sunk in with me the last few years that in the middle of winter in January, the earth is still resting. And so I've really backed off of these sorts of goals for the new year. It just doesn't feel the way that my body is moving. My body wants to rest and to slow down. In fact, right before Thanksgiving, I decided to really pull back on my workout, on my training, all the things that I had been focused on this year, which I was putting a lot of effort in and was really helpful. I really tapered off and slowed down to kind of go into this rest mode, this waiting mode. And even though it is January and there's all these goals and resolutions in the air, I thought about my birthday in May. And I thought about not necessarily a goal, but a gift that I could give myself for my birthday. And I realized if I was going to give myself a gift in May, it would be nice to give the gift of wellness, of healing, of essentially taking all the different practices that I have learned so far and kind of put them together in a way that I know supports me the best way. Because it's like when I support my body, then it also supports my mind and my spirit. So by incorporating everything together and really dedicating the time between now and my birthday, it just felt like a wonderful gift that I could give to myself. And so I'm moving in the next 3, almost 4 months in a way that I'm going to be lining up and incorporating a bunch of different things to get myself to a particular place that I've got in mind. And to start this all off, I couldn't think of a better way than to start with the Zen Cleanz 1 and actually to move through their detox and cleansing products, because Zen Cleanz has the 1, which is a small intestinal cleanse. And then they have something called Forgive, which is a liver cleanse. And then they have a protocol that's about 28 days for the lungs, a 7-day protocol for the blood and lymph system, and then finally there's a kidney cleanse as well, which is a longer one. I believe it's about 20 days. My plan is to work through all of these leading up to my birthday while I'm incorporating other things as well. So that is the big picture of kind of where I'm going, and there'll be other things that I'm pulling in and I talk about and I share as we get there. But where I've been right now is working with Zen Cleanz 1. And I have worked with this 2 times before. The first time I was completely brand new to this. I was like, this sounds incredible and exactly what I want. And also, I'm not sure, like, is this snake oil? Is this smoke and mirrors? Like, what's going on here? And there was only one way to find out, and that was to jump in. And so I ordered the Zen Cleanz 1 and then the Zen Cleanz Forgive to do a back-to-back. Now, let me just walk you through what you're going to do with the Zen Cleanz 1. So the Zen Cleanz 1 is this protocol where for one day, you're not going to eat anything except drinking everything that is in the kit. And it's this mixture of these sachets that have these powders. And then there are these bottles of the liquid enzymes. Now, there is a schedule, and you're going to be drinking something about every half hour in the morning. Then you take a couple hour break. Then there's another chunk of time in midday where about every half hour, again, you're drinking and you're going back and forth between the powders and the enzymes, mixing them with water and drinking them. And then there's another break, and then the evening time, you complete the protocol, you go to sleep, and then the next day you finish off with 2 more times with the liquid enzymes. The second day is known as the release day. Now, on the release day, everything that you drink the night before through the night has all worked through your digestive system, and it's essentially just clearing you out and cleaning you out. And so on the second day, on this release day, they advise you to stay home, to work from home, to do whatever you can to make your day relaxing as possible. In the event there's any discomfort, you're going to be using the bathroom a lot as you release everything that you've been holding on to and everything that's in your digestive system. Now, the first time that I did this, I could not believe how I felt afterwards. I mean, it was a lot. Like, about halfway through the first day, I could feel the powders, all the enzymes working. I had a lot of just gurgling stomach things going on. You could just tell things were working. I really wasn't hungry the entire day because you're drinking something every half hour pretty much. So you're full. And I found that hunger really doesn't even have a place to come up. Now, the first time that I did the one cleanse, I ended up in a place where I just felt so clear and connected with my body. And it was a way to just like reset cravings, habits. I tend to be someone that reaches for food if I'm tired, if I'm overwhelmed, to sort of regulate my nervous system. And I'll reach for something really sweet or really salty. I'll go back and forth. And then just the overconsumption has an effect on me. And doing this just kind of just like wiped all of that away. And it was really interesting how it reset me, but then it even took a particular craving and vice away that I was really surprised, and that's coffee. Now, I love coffee so much. I have been the biggest coffee snob over the years. I think it's an amazing, amazing thing to enjoy, to geek out about. But I've also just essentially abused caffeine, where I've just like overloaded it. Caffeine down the stream really elevates your cortisol. So then like you have like this sort of, I have this stressful, like tense feeling afterwards. And so I've learned to sort of like modulate it over the years and find a sweet spot. But I've also been in a place where it's like, I feel dependent on it. Like I have to have it. Like, again, it's like, I'll be like stressed out or like, oh, I gotta get this done. I need caffeine to be able to get this done. It's like a dependency that I didn't want. And I've gotten off caffeine a few times before, but I've always come back to it with a sort of like urgency. Like, again, it's almost like this compulsion, like this addiction that I have to coming back to it. And I'm telling you, after the first time I had the one cleanse, like my caffeine cravings are just gone. I have gone back and had a coffee, but I don't find myself in the dependency loop where before, like if I took a break of coffee or caffeine, the first time I'd have one, I'd be like, oh, that's so good. And I wouldn't think I was going to have another one. But then the next day, I'm like, I want another one. And then the day after that, I have one in the morning. And then afternoon, once I'm like feeling a little tired, I'm going to have another coffee. And so then it would just like perpetuate. But since that first time that I had one, it's like it reset me like big picture. And then coffee was just like Not a thing anymore. Not dependent on it. I can enjoy it now. I still have it sometimes, but it's not necessary for my day-to-day being. Okay, so one thing that a lot of people ask about regarding the Zen Cleanz 1, because it's an intestinal cleanse, they ask, is this a parasite cleanse? If you look into the Zen Cleanz material and you listen to interviews from Daniel, you'll find that he answers this question by saying, most parasites exist in an environment that is set up for them to flourish. So the way to get rid of a parasite is actually to change your gut microbiome, to change your overall health, not to simply take a tincture or do one thing that gets rid of them one time, because if the environment is the same, then at some point they will just keep coming back. And I'm not like an expert in parasite cleanses or how that works. I've read that, certain parasites need a antibiotic or medicine to get rid of them, and then other ones can be successfully used with, a tincture of like wormwood, clove. I think papaya seed is another really popular one. I've never done one. I've never believed that like I have a parasite issue. But the way Daniel talked about, like the conditions of your organs dictating, your outcomes, that's the thing that really resonated with me. I've always thought if I have heartburn, the solution is not to be dependent on antacids. If I have eczema, which I do, I get eczema in my scalp, the solution to that is not simply to use a cream or to take some medicine for it. If I'm experiencing those things, then the environment or the inputs that I'm giving my body are simply reacting to those inputs. So my job is to listen to my body and to try to understand, what I'm doing to create this environment. And so that's the philosophy behind Zen Cleanz, is if you can detoxify your body, if you can cleanse your body, if you can return it to a sort of clear balance, then most of the chronic issues, the things that we experience in modern times, they go away because the body takes care of itself and heals. And look, I'm not an expert. I am like embracing this thing, and I'm also a little skeptical or asking questions. But I mean, I'm drinking some right now as I'm recording this video. All I have to say is like, it's working in some way in me. And so I'm going to keep going. Okay, so I really connected with this idea of balancing. And then I heard about, there's kind of like these 3 levels of traditional Chinese medicine, which reinforced it all. Basically, in traditional Chinese medicine, the highest medicine, like the most important medicine, the best medicine, is essentially your lifestyle. So what you're doing day to day for your health, like that is the most potent, important, that's the most vital medicine. And then the next level would be kind of like your nutritional supplement, your tinctures, your herbalist, your in-between inputs that you need to help with an ailment. Right? This would be like taking turmeric to reduce inflammation. This would be taking a ginger tea, like if you're having a stomach ache, or taking an antacid, if we're talking in Western medicines. And then the interesting thing is that the lowest form is your Western sort of invasive, we got to go in and we got to fix this now. Like it's not that it doesn't have a place. It's not that it's not useful, but we don't start with cutting something out, or we don't start with the heaviest medication. We start further back up that chain. We start with lifestyle. We start with your daily habits. And then if we are in a situation where like you're going to the emergency room or you're deathly sick, then yeah, take the antibiotic, take that medicine, do that procedure. But it's not where we start. We start by looking at the things that we're doing every day that affect our health outcomes. Okay, so the One Cleanz is designed for your small intestine. Small intestine is where nutrients are absorbed. So that is its main focus. Okay, so when I went down this rabbit hole of what is Zen Cleanz 1, what is an intestinal cleanse, it led me down to this whole world of this concept of mucoid plaque. The idea is that we have this accumulated waste that doesn't quite fully get digested in our intestinal walls. That sort of like buildup plaque prohibits us from really absorbing as much nutrients as we could from our food, and then that creates some downstream problems. Now, if you Google mucoid plaque, you are going to enter into a world of very interesting photos and also some heated debate. You will find pictures of what people have passed, and there are these long rope-like sort of masses that look like it would be impossible for such a thing to come out of a human body. So Zen Cleanz provides this manual where you can actually analyze your release if you want to. I know that that's not for everyone. Certainly if you're squeamish, it's not the rabbit hole you want to go down to, but some people are really fascinated by it. I was intrigued enough to go, okay, what is this and what does it mean? And then that led me into a deeper dive of like, okay, is this a thing? Because if you go online, you're going to find people that say mucoid plaque does not exist. You'll find doctors that say, no, it doesn't exist. And then you see other people that have these pictures of this like 20-foot thing that came out of their body that says, I don't know what else to call it, but this is what it is. So here's my take on it and my understanding of it. The powders that you're going to take in this intentional cleanse have psyllium husk or psyllium powder in every single packet. And so you're taking a lot of this fiber powder. You can buy psyllium husk over the counter. In fact, I looked online to find out who else is doing intestinal cleanses. And you'll find very simple, very easy formulas that you can just get at any health food store, Whole Foods. You buy psyllium husk powder. And then what a lot of people do is they'll mix it with either bentonite clay or activated charcoal. Both have a sort of detoxing, pulling of toxins property to them. And that's why people incorporate that with this process. And then they'll just mix it with like apple juice or something really simple. And then they drink that. And people that have done that on a different routine, you can find people that have different protocols for this online. They've had similar results with a mucoid plaque release. Now, it's clear to me that when you put psyllium husk and water together, it essentially gels up. And you have to drink the powders fairly fast because they begin to thicken up a little bit in the glass. So you drink them before they get too thick. And then they'll continue expanding essentially in your intestines. And the idea is that they're expanding, and that is what's filling out and kind of like brushing and cleaning out your intestinal walls. So I haven't explored any other intestinal cleanses yet. I'm honestly intrigued about trying to do something simple like that with just using psyllium husk and seeing if I have a similar result, because it is a main ingredient in the Zen Cleanz 1. But I don't know if it would be as gentle, as effective, because there's just so much in the Zen Cleanz 1 and so much thought and intention, not only in the liquid enzymes and the blends that are going on, but even in the powders, they're adding all these other digestive enzymes, plant fibers, and I can really see the intention and understand why the results that I've had are so powerful and effective. I'm still on the fence about like what mucoid plaque is or what it isn't, if it's real or not. I just know that the process is very, very effective for me. What I did the first time was light meal, Zen Cleanz 1, release day, and then I started the Forgive liver cleanse. And then there's a release day for the liver cleanse. First time that I did that, incredible, amazing, life-changing. The next time I did it, I wanted to go a little deeper, and they have this thing called the Rainbow Protocol, which is a 7-day process where you still do a 1 on the front end, and then you do Forgive on the end. But in between, you're on a regimen of enzymes, just their liquid enzymes, and some of the other powders that they sell. They've got something called black vacuum, fiber crystals, quantum particles. And so you're doing, what you just call an enzyme fast, where it's a bit like water fasting, but your body's more supportive because it is getting some calories and it's definitely getting nutrition and the support from enzymes. Now you can buy the Rainbow Protocol. They've got a 7-day and then I think like a 20-day version of it. But I had intended on doing another 1 and another Forgive because I was like, this is amazing. This is life-changing. I'm going to want to do this again. And I had also just bought a few of the bottles of their enzymes because I was just curious. Ambrosia is like a kind of like 360, like everyday sort of formula. And they encourage you to use it with like your family just as a daily maintenance. And so I started giving a little bit to my kids and they loved it. Hygenia is their liver focused blend. And that's what I really wanted to focus on. And then they had something called Lightspeed, which really supports like blood sugar. and pancreas and those sorts of functions. And my wife's type 1 diabetic, so I thought this would be great for her. But little did I know when I bought those bottles, the Lightspeed and the Hygienia were actually part of the 7-day Rainbow Protocol. So essentially, I had the one kit, I had the Forgive kit, and then I had the 2 bottles that you would use. I didn't have the digestive enzyme powders, but I essentially pieced together my own Rainbow Protocol where I started with the one cleanse, and then I went 8 days straight just on an enzyme fast. And then I finished with the Forgive liver cleanse. In that process, whoa, that was even deeper. I mean, I've never done a fast that long, any type of fast that long. I've done 3-day water fasts. I came out of that feeling so grounded, so at peace. Just like so in my body. I don't know, my nervous system was settled. There was like a freedom that I felt after that was unlike anything else that I'd experienced through like a fasting protocol like that. Like it really like took me to another level. And after that, I was just like, okay, I'm in. Like, how do I go deeper with this? How do I take this to the next step? And I thought about doing a longer protocol, like essentially a longer fast, because they've got a 20-day period. But then I thought, no, I think maybe around, this was the end of last year, I thought maybe I'm going to want to go do something in the new year and work through their other protocols for the different body systems. And then that idea fused with this whole idea of giving myself this gift. And so here I am. So it's actually the second day. It is my release day. And I did something a little different this time around because I decided to just do like a liquid fast the day before. It's interesting because if you look at their old, they've reformulated the one, and they used to have a 10-packet version, and now they've got an 8-packet version. You can still look at the manuals for both online, and I noticed that on the original one, there was a suggestion of trying to fast or do a liquid fast 1 to 3 days before. The idea is that like these enzymes are going to get to work in your digestive system. It's best if it's as clear as possible. And I've felt that before. On a 3-day water fast, I've lost 10 pounds. Your body gets rid of just about every piece of waste, of unneeded bits as it can on a 3-day fast. So that idea really made sense to me. It made sense with my experience that if you do 3 days, your digestive system is going to be pretty much clear. And so then if you do something like this, then it's going to have like a full effect on essentially clean system, right? I didn't have 3 days in my schedule to do that, and it just didn't feel like it was the time to do. But I did a 1-day liquid fast, and then I went into my one protocol yesterday. And the first time you do it, like you're nervous. Like I can be a bit of a perfectionist. Like, oh, this is all intended for a particular reason, so the water's got to be the right temperature. And what sort of water do I use? And what time do I do it? And what happens if I mess up? And oh my gosh, I'm 15 minutes late. Like all these things can come up in your mind. But again, because there's so much intention in this, so it's like this is obvious that there's been care and intention. So I want to execute it the way that it's supposed to be. But I learned, especially my second time around, that there's a lot more grace in it. And they've even updated the manual for this new version, this new formulation of one to reflect that. That look, like no matter how you start a cleansing process or detox process like this, like it's going to have an effect. So don't get too worried about it being perfect, whatever that is in your mind. Just begin. And because I've done it before this time around, I'm just not worried about the perfection and just accepting and working with what my schedule has for me. I had a fairly normal day. I mean, I was picking up kids and running errands. I still tried to create as much calm and peace as I could, but I wasn't too obsessed about it. And then today was my release day, and I'm feeling really good. After a few releases of just getting like unnecessary waste out of my body and sort of starting that reset process. Tomorrow I'm going to start on the Forgive, and I'm going to work through that on the weekend. And then after I get through the weekend, on Monday, I'm going to be starting Inspire, which is the lung formulation to cleanse the lungs. And that's also when I will be starting a new workout and diet approach. Because the reason why you do these things isn't that it's a one and done magic pill. Like these are protocols and tools to support your ongoing health. And that's what I'm trying to work towards, is a more grounded, supportive, balanced lifestyle. So yeah, next week I'll be starting with my new training schedule. I'll be dialing in and adjusting my diet so that I can work towards my gift that I'm giving myself come May. So yeah, that sums up my Zen Cleanz 1 experience and kind of where I'm going and where I'm at, big picture. If you're interested in the Zen Cleanz 1 or any of the Zen Cleanz products, please check out the link below. There's a discount if you use my code, if you use the link there. And then if you've got any questions, please hit me up. I want to know your experience and what you think. All right, peace.